All right, so the first thing we need to do is find the rule. So we need to look at our x values and our y values and find out what's happening each time. So our first x started as a 1 and ended up as 1 and 5 tenths. Our second x started as 2 and ended as 2 and 5 tenths. Our third x started as 3 and ended in 3 and 5 tenths. Our fourth x is 4 and ended in 4 and 5 tenths. Our fifth x is 5 and ended in 5 and 5 tenths. So it looks like in every one of these situations, we added a little bit to our number. And by a little bit, I mean, oops, I need to go back. By a little bit, I mean 5 tenths. So let's see, plus 5 tenths. So our rule in like third grade, fourth grade would have been plus 5 tenths. All right. However, now that we're big fifth graders, we know that our rule is taking our x value plus 5 tenths, and that equals our y value. Remember that basically your original rule is this part. All you're adding to this is the x equals y. All right, so x plus 5 tenths equals y is our rule because each time on our table we added 5 tenths to our x value to get our y value. So now let's find out which one of these graphs matches our data. So our first point is going to be 1 and 1 and 5 tenths. So we're going to run 1 and we're going to jump 1 and 5 tenths. We do see a point right there. Let's look at this one. We run 1 and we jump 1 and 5 tenths. Our point should be right there. So we can tell already which graph is not accurate. But let's go ahead and check another point. Let's check 3 and 3 and 5 tenths. All right, so let's check the point 3 and 3 and 5 tenths. All right, so I'm going to run 3. I'm going to jump to 3 and 5 tenths, which is halfway between 3 and 4. So there is a point right there. What about on this graph? If we run 3 and then we jump 3.5, there's a point right there. So one of these graphs does not have the proper points. So our correct graph is A. We might be able to find the pattern for this graph, 1.5, and it looks like we jumped 1, so this looks like 1.5 and 1. The next spot looked like 2.5 and 2. Oh, it looks like what happened with this one is they mixed up our x and y. All right, so on this one, you can see that x and y got flip-flopped, and this is what it would look like. These graphing points would be what would happen if we got it backwards. So this pattern actually shows minus 5 tenths, because if you look at your pattern, every one of these is minus 5 tenths. But we're not really doing subtracting patterns in 5th grade, so you don't have to worry about that. Great job. Moving on. All right, so the next one, same thing. Let's go ahead and pretend that this has to do with climbing. All right, so we want to look at a graph that represents climbing. So we want our every hour that we go by, we're going to say that every hour that goes by, this is how many, let's say, meters someone has climbed. Oh, that's not very fun. They didn't go that high. Let's say, okay, so when you're rock climbing, basically you have different pitches. So let's say this is how many pitches you get done. A pitch is just kind of like a section of a rock climbing problem. So let's say this is a big mountain. You get to here, that's pitch 1. You get to here, that's pitch 2. You get to here, that's pitch 3. Let's just say that this one has 13 pitches. So in 1 hour, they go 5 pitches. 2 hours, they go 7. 3 hours, they go 9. 4 hours, they go 11. And 5 hours, they go 13. So we need to find a rule that goes with this graph and see if we can actually find a rule that goes with this graph. So there actually might be a situation where we don't find a rule. So I want you to see if there's a rule that agrees. But if there is not a rule that agrees, then there's probably a rule that agrees. All right, so go ahead and check your graphs and see which one, or check your tables and see which one matches this graph over here. We need to find the matching